Bada bing, bada boom. Pundit. We are here. We are live. It's Wednesday night. It's a loaded Wednesday night slate. Sideline Sports, as it always has been. But we added more personnel and got more shows and everything. So we just have a loaded week like 24/7. I'm Denzel Snipes. You are live on the Pundit, and we have got a loaded show for you today. And we're actually debuting a new segment. You will see it firsthand. But first, I want to get the crew in here. So, this guy is the architect of the South Florida Tribune. He's the captain and the crew of the SS South Florida Tribune. Steve, wait a minute. No, this ain't him. Hold on. Where? Okay, where'd he go?
I don't know. He's hiding, I guess. The
Hello,
queen is here.
Hello, 911. I like to report a missing person. Ladies and gentlemen, first from the South Florida Tribune, this is Candy Ebling. Joining us for a second straight week. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you, Denzel?
Doing pretty good. At some point in time, I'm gonna think you and Scott actually got into a fist fight 20 minutes beforehand, and because you won, you got to be on.
You never know.
Well, rejoining our cast after a nice little vacation, all the way from the Rocky Mountains himself, his Avalanche is back in the playoffs. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Because they dropped the first game, didn't they?
Yes, they did. At least the Nuggets are up 1-0, so that's good.
That's true. You do have both teams in the postseason, and one of them's the defending NHL champion. So, I mean, it's not over with yet. Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Long, the author and architect of Sports Scoop 1. He's got some amazing material. You all go check it out. And last but not least, this is the creator of it's now the Pundit universe because there's like 2 shows now with Pundit in the name. So, and actually, there's also Pundit Points, which is on his TikTok as well. So, yes, he is the creator of the Pundit universe. This is Jacob Christner.
What's up? And tonight's little thing here, you see this? It's called the Prime Pundit Point. We're going to all go for a minute. We're going to make it brought to you by Prime. We're going to get their attention one way or the other. Take a look at the labels. You will see 0 of everything. There's more zeros here than James Harden's ring collection. Zeros all over the place. And it's healthy and it's better for you than Gatorade. Prime. If you want to find them, just to start, go to Prime Hydrate on Twitter and other places to go. Plus, you can just go to Google. You can go to it's Prime Hydrate. You just get it going.
Yep, more zeros than Bill Gates' trust fund when he was 13. Absolutely. Yes, get on there and check it out, Prime. We are going to begin our segment. And so what's going to happen here is, and of course, we explain it, once or a few times, and then once it catches fire, we just kind of get right into it. But everyone, go around the panel. 1 minute, I'm going to solo screen everybody, and 1 minute, just talk about a topic, and then we just rotate. So
call it the Prime Pundit Point.
This is the Prime Pundit Point. Hold on, we're just going to bring it on the screen here. Prime Pundit Points. All right, and here as soon as it comes on the screen here, and here we go. Okay, Prime Pundit Point. So, the shooting of Ralph Yarl, they actually caught the guy. He was known as 84-year-old Andrew Lester. He has been charged with first-degree assault, which in the state of Missouri is equivalent to attempted murder. To those of you all who don't know the story, Ralph Yarl is a 16-year-old kid who was going to pick up his twin brothers, and he went to the wrong address. He walked up to this man's address, and the man actually shot through the glass, and I think on the first bullet, it hit him in the arm. And then once he went down, Lester then went outside and pointed at the ground and shot Ralph Yarl in the head. Ralph Yarl, actually, he has recovered. Well, not fully recovered because it just happened, but he's been released from the hospital, I think, on the 16th. Andrew Lester has been officially charged with first-degree assault. And let me just tell you something. The guy's 84 years old. To those of y'all who saying, he deserves life in prison. Look, dude, if you give him 10 years, that's probably it for him, But Ralph Yarl deserves justice, and I would even go as far as saying this is a hate crime. There should be no reason why you walk right up to him, innocent kid, and you shoot him in the face after you shot him in the arm through the door. So that's my point.
My pundit point has to do with the LA Dodgers. Back in 2019, the Dodgers placed outfielder Andrew Toles on the restricted list, but didn't offer up very many details on why. It was later discovered that he was dealing with anxiety and some struggles with his mental health. The hope was that he could eventually return, but that day never came. In June 2020, Toles was back in the news after he was arrested for trespassing at an airport in Florida. His family shared the depth of Andrew's struggles and revealed that he was living on the streets and that they were having trouble getting him home. The Dodgers have done their part to help the Toles family by continuing to keep him in the organization by re-signing him yearly so that he'll have access to professional help. Thank you, Dodgers, because the mental health is such a big issue, but for helping him stay that he can keep getting treated and treatment. Thank you, LA Dodgers.
All right. Here's something I want to bring up tonight on this pundit point. This is to the young youth of the world. See, and this is why I came up with Prime by itself, because it's very, very popular. Everything that we see right now, we see a lot of kids with a lot of mental issues right now. It does not matter who it is, does not matter if they're black or white, does not matter if they're Asian or African American, it does not matter anywhere. We're seeing a lot of problems, and COVID was there. COVID was one of the big causes because we stayed inside for 2 years. And I want you all to understand, I say kids, that means, boys and girls. I'm saying this to all of you. There is an elite out there that doesn't want you to succeed. And who is the elite? There's every type. It's a little hidden deal there's causing a lot of chaos, and people are on social media and it's just dividing their heads. They're telling you that you can't do something because of this or can't do something because of that. They're telling you all of this. And the thing is, who cares? Who cares? You know what you do? You do as Logan Paul does or as Jake Paul does. Defy it. Go for it. Do what you feel. You understand? Do you feel like you want to play trombone or clarinet? Do you feel like you want to do that? Do you feel like you want to play music? You want to have a hip hop career? Do you want to play sports? Do you want to be a filmmaker? Do you want to be an actor? Do you have all those? Dream. Allow yourself to dream. My generation and yours are the first two generations that can dream. Allow yourself to dream. Don't listen to the naysayers. Get yourself off social media. Start believing in yourself and believe in everything that you are capable of. And this isn't, guess what? This whole thing I'm telling you about, this isn't to any specific race, genre, religious, anybody. This isn't to anyone. This is to every kid. I believe in you. So does the whole of the pundit, Jordan, Denzel, Scott, and Candy. They all believe in you. Go for it. You go for this because guess what? You are the ones that are supposed to be the defiant ones. This is the age where you're supposed to be defiant. Well, this is the time where you need to be defiant against a lot of absolute ridiculous elitists who want the chaos, who want you divided. Go for it. We all believe in you.
So with the NBA playoffs in full swing, Denver, you look at it, we always seem like it's shafted as a time zone for starting times in the NBA. We are in the Mountain Time Zone. It's not the Pacific, Central, or Eastern Time Zone. I know it makes it a little bit difficult to schedule games in the NBA, especially in playoffs, I realize. But I look at game one on Sunday between the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. It was a late tip-off, 8:50 p.m. Mountain Time, which is way too late. The reason why I'm griping about this is because you had a team that should have played earlier. The Phoenix Suns hosted the LA Clippers in Game 1. Tip-off for that game was 6 p.m. Mountain Time or 5 p.m. in Phoenix. Whoever made the NBA playoff schedule should have known that Phoenix was in an earlier time zone than Denver, which means that Phoenix should have had the earlier game. It would have made more sense for them to play the earlier game, the Nuggets, and have the Suns play later. The NBA failed to do so. I want the NBA schedulers, when the NBA playoffs come out, to look at the time zones and especially make more sense when there's clearly multiple teams playing, which means make the Nuggets play earlier than the Suns.
Excellent commentary by everyone. And let's go ahead and get the crew back in here. We've got Candy Evelyn representing the South Florida Tribune, which I'm pretty sure is going to be QB2 tonight on the Sports Exchange. That is right after this program. Book you on over to the South Florida Tribune on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube and catch the Sports Exchange. Also, who's likely going to be on the program is their resident college kid who sleeps on a couch and raises their fridge when he's not having classes. This is Jacob Christner once again.
Well, I will tell you this. We at least know without a shadow of a doubt that their Mountain Dew is safe because I don't drink that crap.
Oh, well, there you go. Hey, so you hear that, Candy? You won't have to write your name on the bottles. And then, last but not least, we've got Jordan Long, the Rocky Mountain Rebel himself, with excellent commentary. Once again, his blog, Sports Scoop One, a Sports Scoop. And also, he's got a show under review. Please check this out. Sideline Sports, we've got it all, So definitely hit the like and subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Definitely hit the like if you're on Facebook. But follow us. Hey, we're gold. We're gold, platinum, diamond, anything pleasant. We are a woman's best friend, a man's best friend, a dog's best friend. We're everything. All right, so let's get on to our
especially the dog.
Yeah, especially the dog. As long as the dog doesn't die, we're good.
Yeah.
But let's see. But our first topic here, and I actually wanted to have Jacob lead this off because he's doing some work with one of the gentlemen that's mentioned in the banner. And this is on Mike Tomlin, Tim Southers, and the need for truthful diversity. So currently, you know what? I won't play spoiler. Go ahead, Jacob.
I'm not doing work, but I'd like to. I'm with Tim Southers. I will give the story to everybody that has not known. He was a coach at Palmyra High School for the Palmyra, Missouri. He was one of the first black coaches, if not the first. I've been away for a bit, so I'm just going to make sure. But he gets the job as the Palmyra's women's coach. 21-7 district title. Now, let me give you a little bit of the backstory before I go into Tim's final deal. 2 football coaches, one that was already there and one that was a replacement, got caught with school. Oh, hey, what's going on? He got caught with school phones, basically doing texting back and forth and some pretty ugly, nasty, homophobic, and everything else stuff to each other. And it was basically school phones so they could be able to track that. They got caught with that. See, one of those coaches was already gone. He made his replacement. Now that replacement's gone. So you got that. Meanwhile, I can say this, I don't know the story, but I'm doing a theory. Meanwhile, even though it's 21-7, there's nothing in any kind of morality in the middle of all of this. There's nothing to it. Tim Southers is now gone too. And there's a theory to this for me, and I would hope I get to hear him maybe from Twitter or he could come on here or anything. I hope he's watching. There's the theory that they felt better about getting rid of him because they got rid of 2 white coaches. And there's a theory on this to me because they could feel better on things. You got to remember.
Smoke screen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
21-7 and a district title, and he's gone anyway. So it's like, mind you, the coaches deserved it for what they did. But would they have done this if the coaches weren't gone is my question.
Probably not.
Yeah, and it's like if the coach, they would not because it looks like, you got to remember, it's a black coach in the middle of a 3,600 person town.
I didn't realize
3,600 people.
I didn't
So he
realize
got
it was
his
that
shot.
small. The other thing to your point is he was also not renewed of his contract as a teacher. It was a 7-0 vote by the school board.
Yep.
Oh, they got rid of him altogether.
Yep,
Yeah.
they did.
Yep. 3,600 people. And so you get that idea. Now, the reason I brought up Mike Tomlin in the middle of all this, because you've heard me before. 16 seasons, no losing seasons. Maybe like 3, 8, and 8 years.
That's
3.
correct.
And it's like no losing seasons. But what was it? What's he been to? He's gotten 2 Super Bowls. I mean, what's he been to? 3 Super Bowls?
2.
He's been to 2 and won one of them.
1 and 1. 1 and 1, yeah. 2 Super Bowls, 5 AFC title games. No losing seasons, and we already have an idea that he's gone if he gets one.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is when I talk about the need, and I'm saying this, guys. When I'm saying the name for truthful diversity, there's a reason I'm saying something like this. Truthful diversity is not what you see on ESPN. Oh, the NBA has the first time where there's more black coaches than white. Not truthful diversity. That's not true. It's not truthful when Stephen Silas did not get it. I mean, remember, he's gone after 2 years. You know who's probably coming? Like we talked about last week on Basket Bros. Is it Jay? You know who's probably coming? James Harden.
James Harden.
So and you know who they're talking about? Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse is going to inherit that right away. 50 wins right away. I say what I say about James Harden. He's a 50-win guy.
Yes.
That is going to be the immediate inherit for that guy. Stephen Silas did not get to inherit that.
He's a 50-win guy, and in the year that they won 65 games, Harden won MVP.
Yeah, but I'm saying Stephen Silas isn't going to inherit that. We know, and as I said, but these are the things I'm bringing up when I say truthful diversity. I'm talking about all over. You might as well, and don't take this wrong, because you know me I want coaches. I want everybody fair. But don't hire them if you're going to do this.
Yeah.
So don't hire. You might as well make all white coaches.
Go
ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no. Just real quick, since we're on the topic of black coaches being set up, what about the last 2 black coaches for the Houston Texans? Literally the last 2 coaches.
Yeah.
David Culley and Lovie Smith. And Lovie's been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. No, it's like, and I'll tell you one thing. That was one hell of a ball placement defense. And mind you, their line wasn't that great, but boy, they were around the ball, and they had a lot of turnovers.
Yeah.
Top 5, I believe. But and he's a teacher. And this is what I say when those 2 words on that right over there, truthful diversity. Diversity, it's not truthful when you're just talking about the first of this and first of that and first of that. If they're not, diversity is you have all kinds of different people that have inside of an organization. You know, you have, it's like, let me tell you, I'll say this. Watch the show, like a Reboot. It's gone now. It's on, it was on Hulu. I mean, you had black, you had white, you had Chinese, gay, woke, old school Jewish. That's truthful diversity. That's the world we're in. And we get to this. And it's like, yes, and guess what? Diversity is 15 black coaches, 15 white coaches. Okay, that's diverse. All right.
There's another one.
There's another one.
And he's got an active lawsuit.
Yeah. But it's like that's true. That is diversity to a
That's the one right there. That's the one right there. Thank you, Will.
To a point is my point. It's like that is diversity, but it's technicality. It's like you might as well. Okay, here's the thing. Until you're giving them chances to be able to build on something. Remember, we brought up Jeff Fisher last week.
Yeah,
we brought up Jeff Fisher last week. Jeff Fisher got had like 14 seasons. He got 8, 8, and 8s. Something along those lines, some ridiculous.
7 and 9.
No, 7 and 9s, yeah. I mean, something ridiculous like those. He got all of those seasons to do that. You might, as I just said, just hire Hall. Just be honest. Let's just say, I'm just saying, guys, let's just be honest and just hire all white coaches if you want to do that. Don't do the Rooney Rule. Don't do any of that.
I was going to say, get away with the Rooney Rule.
The Rooney Rule, in my opinion, is just such a joke. I mean, yes, you need it says you have to, interview minority coaches, But how many minority coaches do we have in the NFL? There's 3. Mike Tomlin, which we talked about, D'Amico Ryans, and Todd Bowles.
And
It's
Mike
just
McDaniel, he's a half.
that too. But it's just ridiculous that, you said 4 out of 32 teams. That's just ridiculous. That is not diverse. I've always thought that the Rooney Rule was just a complete joke because these minorities don't have a chance versus whites. And if you look at in terms of longevity for these black or minority coaches, I should say, they have such shorter leashes, and we've seen it in Houston. With white coaches, they have such a longer leash, especially if they have a couple of losing seasons. That doesn't cut it for the minority coaches. They're gone in one season if you don't have a winning season, other than Mike Tomlin.
I'm just saying, but some reason NFL feels more honest than NBA does. It just does. It's not honest, but it feels more honest because it's like guess what? That 4 out of 32. That feels more honest of where they are at because you got to realize right now there's that ownership. They're going to give that ownership to Josh Harris over in Washington for the Commanders. There's a black owner. There's a potential black owner right now, $7 billion with $7 billion cash. That's not that. Here's the thing. They're still thinking about it, but that's the thing. Guess what? It's up to Daniel Snyder. You think he's going to accept it? This is the thing. That's at least honest. We know what he is.
Yeah. You know exactly what he is, go
ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, with real quick, at the end of the day, these owners are still of that old school mindset. You know how we talk about all the time how Vince McMahon is a product of a 1980s Republican.
Yeah,
that is a lot of the team owners in the NFL now. And at the end of the day, these guys and their teams are worth billions of dollars. And anyone that owns a $1 billion entity, several $1 billion entity, don't want nobody else telling them how to run it. You know what I mean? As far as Mike McDaniels goes, you said Mike McDaniels is half and half. Okay, let's keep this real. He has a winning season, he's white. He takes them to the playoffs, he's white. He takes them to the title game, he's white. He wins the Super Bowl, he's white. He gets into a scandal or gets fired, he's black.
Yep.
And the thing is, and I'll get to you and Candy in 1 second. I wanted to get to this. This is the thing. We joke around Donald Trump, but what does it say? Let's just say this about the owners. When Donald Trump had one of the first women contractors to put up to Barbara Rez, when he had them, when he was one of the first to have black people in the women and men in the boardrooms, when that man is considered diverse and you're not, when he is more diverse and you're not, that's the point of everything. I'm talking about honesty about it. It's like, that doesn't mean that Trump isn't a piece of garbage. We already know what he is. But what does it say when he's did it before you? And it is like, what does he say with all of this? And it's like, it doesn't mean that you're not any kind of better. It just means that he saw ahead. And that was 1983 when he did that. He saw ahead before they did. And we're in this 40 years now. And there's still people. It's like, here's the thing. We see Rooney Rule. We see all these diversity. We see the media shame, which doesn't obviously work. Because remember Star Trek, how diverse that show was?
Yeah,
of course.
You told me about this. How diverse? Star Trek with
even the red shirt was diverse.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
but it's like TJ, one of my friends, from Yin and Yang. Yeah, I mean, she was telling me it is mostly white and a couple of token blacks now. All the shaming around the woke is irritating people, and it is not honest. And it's not honest, and it's like, and that's where I bring in Candy. I am so sorry. It is your turn.
She's been buying her time in the corner.
I'm one of the other diverse people because I'm a woman, and let's face it, women. It's the same thing. I mean, we talk about black, but we also have to talk about women because women aren't normally treated the same or paid the same for a salary. And why is it that when we bring up the Rooney Rule and we bring up minorities, we're always talking about the NFL? But what about MLB? What about NHL? And and all of them. It's
That's true.
amazing to me that, we look at some of these other sports and they don't have black managers, black coaches, black GMs. Why?
Well, we
can't
got Dusty
tell me-
Baker. We brought up Dusty Baker. But Dusty Baker, you bring up Lovie Smith. They're the safe ones, Denzel. Dusty's the old school baseball bat used as a cane, sage old man. Yeah, it's like he talks about the good old days of the Negro Leagues.
Pretty much.
He does all that stuff. There's nothing hateful in his voice, so that's why he's safe. Same with Lovey.
But you know what? But you know what? To Candy's point, and then we got to move on to our next topic. Quick question for the panel: how many female owners are in sports?
There's just a handful.
Outside of Georgia Frontier. Well, she died actually. Georgia Frontier died, didn't she? Yeah. But there's one for
maybe maybe NWSL. Maybe there's a couple.
I would say maybe one or two because they're mostly men.
Hang on a second. Well, I'm on the site right now. Let's see here. There is Carol Davis. Technically, she's an owner.
Okay.
Denise DeBartolo, York. There's Ann Walton Cronky, Denver Nuggets, Colorado Avalanche. You know who that is.
That gets a little bit confusing, though, because all of the paperwork is technically in her name.
Yeah. So you know what? That even breaks down another demographic because, some of the people on this list, they are owners in name only. How many are operational owners? Yeah. Like more than just sign your name here under owner and then just go stand over there and be quiet. No. I'm talking about everyday operations, hands in the sauce. Like she's baking the cake, she's mixing the batter, she's putting it in the oven, she's icing it down, she's putting the candles on. Like, how many are really doing that?
Who watches Ted Lasso?
That's Ted Lasso.
That's a fictional show. That's also a female. That's also a female soccer owner, and it's that's a fictional show. And it's like right there. And guess what? You know how she got hers? Through a divorce with her husband, with a piece of garbage husband. That's a story too. And that's probably where it'd be. But the only point, I'm going to make my final point. I know we have to, and everybody has a final point, but this is my point. Might as well get 32 white people or 32 whatever. You might as well, because we're going to get more. I'm not saying I want it that way. I'm saying it in this way. We're going to get more honesty out of that because there's going to be the ones like Josh Harris who puts Magic Johnson in an ownership deal with the Commanders. You're going to get that. Before you trust the Jerry Jones world of all of this. You might as well quit just saying, oh, see, there's my black guy there. Quit doing that. Quit doing that. Quit using the media to shame the white people. Let's quit this. Let's just start getting honest. Let's get honest. These are human beings. We're human beings. This is 2023, not 1953.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're going to go. This is a really good topic. Probably deserves a part two. But on to the next topic, and that is on the screen yet? There it is. Wendell Pierce and the issue with fans still in contact. Jacob, this is yours, right?
Yep. Wendell Pierce. Have you seen Jack Ryan? Okay. I know what another one you've definitely seen, The Wire.
Yes.
Yeah, Wendell Pierce, that guy.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy. And Jordan read it. I sent it to him. The whole point of it was he is the first black actor to do The Death of a Salesman, one of my very, 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 very favorite plays. He's doing it right now, and he's on stage on everything, and he is the first Willie Loman, which that is actually my type of Willie Loman, a big powerhouse looking dude. Just really quickly, the type of Willie Loman. A big powerhouse-looking guy beat down by the world. If anybody has seen that type of thing. And Wendell Pierce is an amazing actor. So he can pull this off. Well, guess what? Get a front row seat, and you saw this, Jordan. There's a lady recording the thing. And then she got caught. Wendell Pierce broke character and kicked her out. And everybody's throwing a fit, and she's flipping the bird, and they're doing all that stuff. There's a reason, folks, fans, everything. You're all thinking just because they're rich. Wendell Pierce is rich. It's because he had to go through all the years of being poor. These are actors. I am a trained actor. I don't have a SAG card. That's one thing I'll try to work on getting one day. I'll need to get it while I'm in Georgia. but I would work on getting that one day. You want to know what the average SAG, the average amount of money a SAG makes per year? A SAG actor about $1,100. It is hard enough to get money. It is hard enough to get money for actors. Now you are using your phone to show the whole thing where possibly millions of people, if not hundreds of thousands or whatever, even depending on how many people are on that thing, can see that whole show without watching it, without going to New York and seeing it. Oh, we've seen it now. Why would we pay? And that is why Broadway says no. That's why these movie theaters say no. You are stealing content. This is even more egregious than Napster. You're stealing when you have SAG actors, and I am not a SAG actor, but I'm a trained actor. I have not made much money in my life as this, but I take this seriously. When you're an actor, and the average amount for a SAG actor is $1,100 a year, because there's a lot of them that make zero.
Yeah.
And you're doing that, and this guy's just gotten lucky. He got lucky with Wire. He got lucky with a couple of others. He's on Jack Ryan right now. He's gotten big amounts of things, and he's a multimillionaire now. But it took a long time, and the dude's got to be over 50.
Mm-hmm.
And he took that long. And this is the whole thing we dealt with Napster, and you deal with all this. Oh, they've got the money. This is what the internet people do. Oh, they got the money. Because they worked.
Yeah.
Because they worked, and this stealing content, that's egregious, and that's what I'm bringing there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. With and she's flipped. The lady that got kicked out, she's flipping out and everything, and she doesn't see the big picture of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like she was just taking pics; like, she was recording. It's one thing to then put your phone down, but when it's up there constant, you know what I mean? Like, people aren't stupid, all right? You're sitting there recording a performance. And there probably was some sign that said no recording. They probably were verbally told no recording, and then she does it anyway, So it just goes to show you, but also at the same time, it's also entitlement. Some people think that they can just bypass the rules in someone else's establishment and get away with it, and then it's the entitlement. It's an entitled generation. I don't know how old this woman was or anything like that.
She was about 60, would you say?
Yeah, she was pretty older. Yeah, she was older. She knew better.
If she was older, then she probably came from a very privileged background and wasn't held to very much standards and was allowed to just kind of get away with whatever, And so the second someone holds her accountable, like throwing her out of a performance when she recorded, when she was specifically told not to record, she can't believe it, Not even my own parents did this to me. Who do you think you are? You can tell your testimony across the street.
I'm glad that Wendell Pierce actually broke character to call her out, because like Jacob was saying, this is their content. You don't have to pay if you're going to put it online. You don't have to pay for a ticket. I'm sure the Broadway tickets aren't cheap. I know I've been to a Broadway play. They're at least $100. Where she was sitting, it's probably $250. Why in the world would you go to a play just to do this, to sit and record it, other than to upload it? The thing is, though, we're such in a technologically,
Technological.
Thank you. There you go. That's the word I was world. And the thing is, we have all this technology, but yet it's nice to go to a play and, put the phone away to relax. That's what she should have been doing, not stealing the content and putting it up on social media. I don't even know if she was going to do that, but I'm assuming that's what she was going to do. But either way, you can't just go somewhere and record. I'm sure, like you guys were saying, there's probably you cannot record. The best thing is, what Broadway should do, maybe now, is to make sure there's no phones going there. Pictures are fine, but to actually sit there and record, not cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they started saying all right, leave your phones in the cars, and they start flat out patting people down. But we'll swing it over to Candy and get your thoughts about this.
It's hard to do that, to say no phones, because let's face it, everybody with this emergency. But let's also think about it. When you go to a live performance, there's copyright laws too. And that's not just copyright for you. That's copyright for the people that put the performance on. They have to pay a lot of these to even have that show. And you're paying somebody for that script. You're paying. It's kind of like, and I hate to say this, I hate to say that we even have to talk about this, that we have to read the fine print, the read that says you can't film. You know, when we're part of the media and we go to like an NFL game, they specifically have to tell us you cannot record this and rebroadcast any of it because they're television rights. Like,
Right.
it's the same thing. You just can't do these things. And the fact that we have to be told that is, in my mind, unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if you know something, I'll bring one thing up. Let me bring one thing real quick. WWE and AEW and them are living off the name now. I'm just saying it's name. Pro wrestling lived for hundreds of 100 years. I'm just gonna say that with pro wrestling, it lived off of the draw, the Luthez, the Jim Landis, the Vern Gagne, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan. It lived all those. It is the name now. Broadway and movies are the one set of things left where you've got to get a name where you're the draw. And the minute you are, Wendell Pierce is the draw. And the minute you are doing all that kind of stuff, there millions of people, there's a chance that there's empty seats, and that show shuts down fast.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, and to Candy's point, because you know, you said like, you know, they probably won't do away with the whole no phones thing because what if there's an emergency? You know, if this gets out of hand, I can see them saying straight up, I don't give a damn about your emergency. Period.
I agree.
You got a sick mother, maybe you shouldn't be here.
And I think most of those shows, if that is the case, they'll probably have a phone that said this is for emergencies only.
Yeah, and the thing is like at the end of the day, they run a business. They have to have some sort of revenue. They got to make the money. You know, there's copyrights, television rights, just like Candy said. You know, whenever you get enough people doing what that lady did, that puts a dent in everything. And at some point, they have to look out for themselves. So you got a 2-year-old? Well, maybe you should be home with him. Maybe you should be with your mother, or better yet, bring your mother here if she's not too sick. You know. But no phones. I can see that happening if this keeps up. They got to help themselves at some point. Yeah. That's the beauty about a business, about running a business. You know, you run it how you want to. If they don't like it, take your ass elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, and we are getting, you brought up the idea of entitlement. We're getting this social media and regular media itself has made things entitled. It's made people entitled. And it's like, the violence that we see on the streets they have this entitled thought process, and it's like truthful, and it's like, and you know something, we don't get any real answers. All of this, you brought up the entitlement, we're not getting answers for it. It's because the chaos comes from every direction when it comes to social media. We're not shutting it off, and at some point, you know what it's going to take. And I'm just going to bring this. I'm talking about this as far as politically, okay? Forget the parties for 1 second. Forget the colors. Forget everything. It's going to take one person that might have a party by proxy, but that's going to finally just say, I'm working with everyone. If it's a Democrat, I'm going to have a Republican Secretary of State, and the other way around. That's going to work with everything. That's going to be a Republican that might actually spend extra money for kids with for free breakfasts and lunches. That might be a Democrat that might be loving for the American flag and be patriotic. I'm just saying this as an example. It's going to take someone that's going to doesn't mind having a 6% approval rating in there and getting a fear of being impeached. That doesn't have that thing until they find out that they're going to have about 60 or 70% approval because things are starting to improve. It's going to it's going to have to take that, because right now we are in a lot of trouble as people. And it's like when you see someone like that, just like a little title that we did tonight, it's arrogance.
Yep. Flat out arrogance. Absolutely. Well, on to our next topic here. And before I do, just want to direct everyone's eyes to the bottom of the screen, to the bottom ticker. So for the greater part of the latter part of the season, you've seen this hashtag, you've seen this on shirts, you've seen it advertised bigger than football. And it hasn't been that long, from that time period because if that phrase looks familiar, then you most certainly know that it had to do with this man. And with that being said, Damar Hamlin officially announces that he will begin his comeback to the field, to the National Football League. He doesn't want his story to end with that night in Cincinnati. He's still young enough. And you figure, these athletes, they're in tip-top shape and everything. How could something like that happen? And I remember hearing a doctor commentate about it. He said it's actually a 1 out of 1 million chance that ever happens, But he doesn't want a story to end there. He wants to attempt to come back to the NFL. And I'm all for it. Of course, health first. But at the end of the day, it's his decision. It's not like a situation like what's the guy from the Steelers? Shazier, Ryan Shazier.
Yeah,
Ryan
like
Shazier. Situation where he didn't have a say in the situation. Like that was it. Like he couldn't walk. He just started walking a few years ago, but he had to retire. Demar feels like he's able-bodied and he wants to make his return. So I actually want to start off with Candy this time. We'll go ladies first, and your thoughts on Damar Hamlin beginning his NFL comeback. Do you agree with it, or do you feel like he should play it safe and not play again?
He has gone to 3 different specialists to get their personal opinion, and they said it was like 1 in a million shot that this was going to happen to him. It had to be at the right spot of his heart beating and the hit at the right time for something like this to happen. Will it happen again? Nobody knows. Should he play again? I think it's his decision. It's his body. It's his life. As long as he knows all the risks, it's up to him. I mean, let's face it. Tua, who's had how many head injuries and concussions, he said he was close to retirement, but he decided to come back too. It's in them. They want to make it big in the NFL. It's their decision.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about it. If the Bills win the Super Bowl next season or even the year after, the biopic writes itself. You know what I mean? But want to swing it over to Jordan and your thoughts about this. I don't know if you feel, indifferent about it or you agree, but do you feel that he should come back to the NFL, or do you think he should play it safe and announce his retirement?
I honestly think he needs to do what he feels is best. I mean, like you guys have been saying, he's been cleared to play. This is his lifelong dream, is to play in the NFL. And we saw that horrific incident on Monday Night Football. And like Candy was saying, it's 1 in a million chance. The fact of the matter is that if he's healthy enough, go ahead and play. I have got no problem with it. It's the same with Tua Tagovailoa. He thought about retiring because of concussions. But guess what? He's going to play because he feels like he can. As long as these players feel like they can, go ahead and let them. I'm glad Damar Hamlin is doing well. I just hope we don't see an incident ever like this in the NFL.
Right, absolutely. And then last but not least, Jacob Christner.
I never have anything to say.
Ever.
No. All right. Let me say this right now. Think about this for a second. What is the amount of time that you need in the league to get a pension? How
3
many?
years.
4 years.
Isn't it 3 years?
4.
Is it 4? Huh.
4.
4 years.
Guess what? What year is he in?
2.
Bingo.
Okay. Yeah.
He might think it's for himself. But the biggest issue about it is he has to. He made $850,000 last year. And by the way, if this wouldn't happen on national TV and this would happen in the locker room, they would only paid him if they would only paid him because he'd been done for the year. They only paid him $412,000.
Yeah.
He got to work it out where he got the rest of his money. But then you're getting this right now. Guess what? They still didn't work anything out to where it's 4 years and less than 4 years in the league to get a pension. That pension's huge. That pension is huge for these NFL players who are broke after the thing is over and they need the money. And it dropped. That pension dropped about 20% anyway. It was 5,200. It's like 3,100 right now from what I see. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing I'm looking at with something like this is the next collective bargaining agreement needs to have that addressed. Mm-hmm. It's like by emergency. But this is what I would say. By emergency, if it's something like that, they get their pension by retirement. Other than, so they can be able to retire and be able to go on, go to college, go get your job, go do your business, go get everything. Do that. It's one thing if it's, I mean, by emergency, something along those lines. I'm not talking about necessarily a knee blown or anything like that, because then you would blow something. But by emergency like that, near death, any of that kind of stuff, you need your pension.
Yes.
Because that doesn't need to happen anymore. Now, I'm happy for him if he's going to take his chance. He is a young guy and he's going to be feeling invincible. You know that part. But this is a pension thing. This is a pension deal. And this is we don't have it. You need 2 more years. Will he make another? Or you can put it in a collective bargaining agreement 3 years if you're to be able to make it as a negotiating tactic.
Yeah, very interesting. I can definitely see that. I can definitely see that angle. You know, it's like, you know, man, I need something that's gonna be like constant, you know, because he's already, you know, you got to think there's gonna be, even if he plays like a full career, right, just like any other player, plays like 10 years, 12 years or whatever, you know, even plays like 8 years. At some point in time, that big money's going to stop rolling in because you're done playing, right? Unless you sign
you know how safe Josh Johnson is. He's at 14 years in the league. 14 years in the league. How many the second and third strings he's gotten? How many of those checks he's gotten? And now he's well past the pension time. He's got that money, huh?
Well, that, and then also former Chiefs backup Chase Daniel, same thing.
You got it. I mean, he got this. This is the thing about pundit guys. It's not just the stats. It's not just the play. And I mean, I appreciate what you were saying, guys, whatsoever. No, I don't think I make people wrong, because we all have to remember it's what Charles Barkley says. We're having a dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so it's, I mean, whether we're right or wrong isn't the point. The point about something along those lines is the fact that these are, the way we deal with it is we got to be able to talk like they're human.
Yeah,
we got to talk like they have families and kids, parents. They got taxes and bills. They got bills, and they've got all this kind of stuff that we have to think about. And guess what? Multimillionaires have the same thing. And in cases, guess what? We have to think of the moving. We have to think of when they're moving because they get traded for the 10,000th time. Okay, yeah, you put the kids through school. Got to put the kids through school. You got to put you got to get all that. Sometimes they leave their families behind to go play the rest of the year, and then you got to figure out how to get the kids to another school. Got to figure all those kind of things. There's 100 things to be thinking about that a lot of people don't think about, and I'll tell you why. Even fantasy football, these are robots. To them, they're robots, and that's just the whole thing. As I said, we're having a dialogue, and I'm having that thing. But the thing that worries me with Demar Hamlin is another hit, and he's dead. Another hit like that.
That's true with any player, though, really.
But,
I mean, especially him.
Everyone.
I have a quick point.
Sure.
Do you drive a car?
Absolutely. I'm too much. I do Uber. I did Uber, and I did it for 5.5 years.
So in 2019, your odds of dying in a car crash were 1 in 107 people.
Yeah.
Talking about in the NFL, there's only been one football player that's ever died on the field, and so your chances of dying in a car crash are way more than your chances of dying playing the NFL.
As a matter of fact, as a matter of fact, go ahead.
I've caught instincts. I've caught instincts from the Uber that you would not believe. I get that, and yet I could get absolutely nailed and gone tomorrow.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, like as horrifying as plane crashes are, you actually are way more likely to die in a car accident, because if something goes wrong with that plane, the pilots literally pull out a checklist or a book, a big old book. Like if an engine fails, you can still fly on one engine, and they have a whole bunch of protocols on how to fly with that busted engine, right? You're actually much more likely to die on the car ride to or from the airport than dying in the air.
Yeah, I've come this close to a T-bone, this close on the thing, just from an Uber thing, just because some idiot decided to pull out of a church on a Sunday. Come this close, and luckily it did. Something was blessing me there. I get that, but the thing about this though is you're right, Candy, you're correct on that. But the biggest thing about it is the way it hit, it went right into his chest. That went to his chest, and that was an aortic valve, and that could be a slight tear, which doesn't really not heal. And that's how John Ritter died, without the hit. So these are the things. All I'm saying with this, he wants to come back. He's an adult male. He's an adult human being. He's an adult male. He wants to make the comeback. That's fine. But a lot of this is by the fact he's got a kid, he's got wife. and he does not have a pension time. He probably, the biggest thing about it is he's probably spent his whole life going for football. And he's trying, and the thing is, you can miss your pension in a hurry, and it was this close to not. If it wouldn't have been in the middle of a football game, right in the middle of the camera seeing everything, they would have cut his thing in half.
Mm-hmm.
If he would have collapsed in if he would have collapsed in the locker room where we did not see it, they would have. Where everybody would do everything like that, there was a shaming going on to make sure he got his money. They would have cut his thing in half because that is part of the collective bargaining agreement that you lose half of your money if you're out for the year before your time's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. They let's see. Oh, and you know what? We are in our last about maybe 5-6 minutes. So our last topic, real quick, and that is the Cavinder twins join World Wrestling Entertainment, exposing the wage problem in women's sports. And just putting up a quick article right here. Haley and Hannah Cavinder are two of the highest profile signings WWE made for the NIL program. So they got a name, image, and likeness deal. WWE is one of several companies to sign them. Let's see. They announced they'd be foregoing their 5th and final season of college basketball to pursue a career in WWE. So Jake, I know this is yours. Real quick, your thoughts.
It's our point that we make. That's the point we make. WWE is now with Endeavor. Endeavor is now with Endeavor. You know WWE is going to go SAG eventually, because this is not Vince paying that out anymore. This isn't paying out all the union dues anymore. This is Endeavor. So that's going to go SAG. Especially when we see the Usos doing that little thing and stuff and how good they are. Mm-hmm. They're going to go there, and they do acting classes in the back during NXT. They're going Screen Actors Guild. And that's the whole point. Cavinder twins are essentially, with athleticism, joining SAG. And this is the thing. They're really good basketball players. But we know the whole Brittany Griner story. We know she was in Russia. She got caught. The debate on what the debate goes political between if she should have stayed there or not. That's irrelevant right now on that. Irrelevant on this. She was there because they don't get paid any money. They don't get any money. They have to keep going. And the biggest thing about it is Cavinder twins could go and guess what? Maybe make more than Brittany Griner now. It's $250.
Yeah.
Or guess what? You get in WWE. You get yourself a developmental deal. You get the 3 or 4 or 5 years, and they are gorgeous. So there goes the Vince's blonde deal. You know what I'm saying? They're absolutely gorgeous. You got that.
They got the look.
Yep, they're going to go tag team champs without question. They're probably going to get one match at a WrestleMania with the Bella Twins.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going because that's what it looks like. That is exactly where you can go with that. The little like they brought Trish back this year, Trish and Lita. They'll bring back the Bella somewhere, and that'll be a big match at WrestleMania. And they're going to do that. And you'll know what else they're going to get? Movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know what else they're going to get? Everything. Multi-millions of dollars to $200,000, $250,000. And then maybe you do this. And maybe at most you get $400,000 when their career's over. Maybe by that time. That's the point. The wage problem in women's sports. They're still not paying. Guess what? They don't have the revenue to pay. They're working on it. They're getting, the Final Four did wonderfully. As far as the Final Four for women did wonderfully. They're like 9 million people watched Iowa versus South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
That whole deal. I was South Carolina. It was not South Carolina in the final. Who was in the final?
LSU.
Yeah, LSU.
Iowa and LSU it was 6 million for Iowa and South Carolina, 9.9 million for Iowa and LSU. There was those. And then you had a story, you had all that wonderful, but the thing about men's sports is they've got sharing, they've got wage sharing. I'm seeing money. You could be able to do what's the term for that? I'm sorry, Jay. Let's see. Profit sharing. Yeah, they get profit sharing in men's, all the thing. You don't not one percentage in the women's. There's not the money to do it. I'm just saying this because Ray J's right there. They don't have the thing. They get better. They're getting better with these ratings. They're getting better on that stuff. But it's 10, 15 years down the line before there's anything on that. and then it exposes that issue with you have to say this. We talk about this now, but we also talked about, and you know what I'm talking about this, Candy. We talked about how many times, and we talked about it on our show too. You know, we're going to have coming up next.
Mm-hmm.
The terrible wages in minor leagues, and now it's up 4 times. This can happen. This can happen, but if you don't want to lose, the Cavinder twins are stars. They are absolute stars. WNBA just lost a couple of stars.
Yeah.
They are going to get Angel Reese, and they're going to get Caitlin Clark. But they lost a couple of major stars in the middle of all of this, and how long before you get it? And that's where you're getting it, is all the money, especially when everything is competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan, real quick, your thoughts.
Well, it's not just in WWE. It's like I have the numbers for the WNBA's minimum salary is $74,000. In the NBA, it's $925,258. Of course, we know the NBA plays more games, but if you look at women's professional soccer, they're only paid $40,000 annually on average, and men, on the other hand, are $60,000. I mean, we got to close the gap somehow. It's just ridiculous.
Is it 60 or 600? Is it 60 or 600?
60. At least what I saw was 60,000.
Okay.
It might be a little bit more, but it doesn't matter. The point is there's such a huge gap. Some of these women who play in soccer actually go. They do what the WNBA does. They go, internationally so they can get paid more. It's just ridiculous. We need to have them have a better wage, just like the men. The only time where it is the same is the World Cup, where men and women are equal. So if that's the example, let's do that and make everything equal.
Can I ask one thing, Jordan? Just by itself, say that you wake up. We did this thing with Jay the other night with Denzel. We did this thing. It was the little format we were doing about the cap heaven and cap hell. You wake up tomorrow and you get that thing. Do you know because right now there's just not, Ray J has a point. Ray J Lynn has a point. There isn't the money on that. Do you know of what you would do to try to be able to bring the revenue to be able to raise that money?
You have to market it more somehow, some way. I mean, you look at I look at the college basketball, for example. The men can do it for every single game. You can go to these different channels. You can't do that with the ladies. They did a little bit better, but you have to market it better to get people more interested. And I thought that's what they did amazingly well. But then again, you have to have games in prime time too to showcase the talent.
You can't put tournaments like they did last year in basketball for women in that hotel. Remember when they had that hotel and there was like no stands, and they had an injury, and it took them how long to get? You got to stop doing that. You got to treat us more fairly. Otherwise you're going to find they're going to, instead of going to WWE, they're going to go on Instagram. They have 1.3 million followers on Instagram and 4.5 million followers on TikTok. They're going to use those platforms instead of anything else because that's where they're going to make the money.
Exactly.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that's our show. Shout out to everybody who watched this. Shout out to JB Ellis. Thanks, Will, for your comments in the comment section.
Definitely.
Let's see. Oh, and here we go. Right up next is over on the South Florida Tribune is the Sports Exchange, hosted by QB2 Candy Ebling. Also, Jacob's going to be over there.
She's definitely a better QB2 than Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, and he almost beat the Bills.
I know, yeah.
But,
she would have finished it.
Yeah, I know, right? She would have beat the Bills. But, yeah, and then after that's over with, head on back over to Sideline Sports Network and just Confidential at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with yours truly as well as Jacob Christner. So for myself, Candy Ebling, Jacob Christner, and Jordan Long, thanks for tuning in to the Pundit's Pundit. We will see you next week. Now, head on over to South Florida Tribune. Later.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.